Let me know if anybody have any difficulty in viewing my presentation or hearing my voice. Um, okay, so the presentation just says that it is module for Java programming. Fine. Okay. Okay. So in this lecture today, we are going to learn about a feature in Java which is called as interfaces. And when we look at this feature, we will see that the interfaces are exactly similar as that of classes, but there are some differences, and we will see why do we need interfaces. So this is the portion where we are going to start different from that of C++. So as far as we have seen till the last class, we have seen that the C++ and Java programming are almost similar. There is some differences in the syntax, declaration of main functions, etc., etc. But we haven't seen anything in drastic changes between C++ and Java. So we are going to start that change from this lecture onwards, where we are going to define something called as interfaces. So a definition of an interface is it is a blueprint of the class with methods and variables. So what do you mean by this blueprint actually? So I don't know whether you have seen the drawings of the buildings or whether you have seen the drawings of a city, something like that, where they do the drawings so that they can build something. And usually they print it in a blue sheet of paper where they will draw the outline. Okay, outline means, for example, if it's a building, they will draw the top view where they will mark by lines the walls, and they will have separate notations for other, for example, for a well, they will have a separate notation. For stairs, they will have rectangular blocks, etc. So it is not actually a complete diagram of the house, but it just shows you the boundaries of the house, which is drawn on a blue sheet of paper. It's called as a blueprint. So the interface can be said as a blueprint of the class. So if you look at the class, you have variable definitions, you have definitions of functions where inside each and every function you will write what you want to do. For example, if you want to print something, you say cout something something. But for a blueprint, you will not write anything like that. You will just mention, okay, there is a function like this, that's all. You will not say what is there inside. That is called a blueprint. And these methods and variables are abstract methods and final variables respectively. That's very important. So whatever variables that we are going to define inside interface is called as a final variable, which means you cannot change the value of the variable. And they are abstract methods. As I said earlier, the methods cannot have any body inside. That is called as an abstract method or a function. Methods in interface do not have a body. They have to be implemented by the class before you can access them. We'll see some examples from which you will be able to understand much better what an interface is. A class that implements interface must implement all the methods of that interface. So if you are going to implement an interface inside a class, we need to implement all the methods mentioned in that interface. You can implement more than one interface in your class. Using interface, you can implement multiple and hybrid inheritance. So the syntax of interface is something like this. There's a keyword called as interface, just like we have a keyword called as class. And then you say the name of the interface. And in curly braces, you will declare the variable and the method. So in the interface variable declaration, you will have, instead of just writing as int variable, instead what you do is you write as static final, the data type of the variable, for example, it is int, the name of the variable is equal to some value. So this is the interface declaration, the variable declaration inside interface. And the method inside an interface has a return type, the method name, and the parameter list. You will not write any body of this method. So you will have a return type. For example, if the method or the function is returning an integer value, you say int. Let's say your function name is my function, you say my function in bracket the parameters. Note that the method is only declared, there is no body for the method. For example, consider this interface. So interface is the keyword. So you write interface. Item is the name of the interface. So I say item. You will have open braces and close braces. Inside it, you will declare, let's say in this example, I'm declaring two variables, code and name. The code should be declared as static final. The data type of the variable, in this case, it is int. Static final data type of name, which is string, and you should assign each of the variable to a value. For example, since code is int, it is assigned a value 1001. Since name is a string, it is assigned a value fan. So the important thing that you should consider here is that the declaration should have static final. That is very important. And then you have the data type. It is int for code and string for name. Then you say, you declare a function void display. You see that the function is declared, means there is no body for this function. It is only a declaration. Now how will you use this interface? So we have declared an interface like this. So what is the advantage of using an interface and how will we use this? So we use by something called as extending interface. Okay, so interface can be extended. If you remember in the last lecture, we have the keyword called as extends, which is basically for inheritance. In C++, we have a colon and we say public class name for inheriting something from the base class. In Java, you have the keyword called as extends and the class name for extending the class. For interface also, if you want to inherit the interface name 2 from another interface name 1, you say interface name 2 extends is a keyword name 1. This is how you extend an interface. In classes, we say it is inheritance. In interfaces, we call it as extends. Okay, that is, interfaces can be sub interface from another interfaces, but sub interfaces cannot define the methods declared in the super interfaces. So if you have some method declaration in name 1, you cannot define that or declare that same method in name 2. Okay, for example, we can put all constant in one interface and method in other. It is also possible to combine all interfaces together into a single interface. We'll see the examples. Let's look at this example. In the first box, you see there are two interfaces. One is called as item constant and other is called as item. And if you look at item constant, you see that there is only variable declaration, that is code and name. In item, you see there is only a function declaration, which is display. But since you are extending, so you say here extends item constants, which means the item can access the variables in the item constants also, since you are extending it. This is one way of doing the interfacing. If you look at the second box, you see there are item constant, which has only variables, and you see there are item methods, which has only functions. And if you compare these two boxes, you see that item methods is not extending from item constants. There is no extends keyword here. But instead, you are declaring a third interface, which is called as an item, which is extended from both item constants and item methods, which means this item can access the variables of item constants and the method of item methods. You should remember the item methods cannot access these variables because it is not getting extended from item constants. But since item is getting extended from both item constants and item methods, The item can access the method and the variables from item constants and item methods. Okay. Now, once you have an interface, you can use that interface in a class also. So a class can inherit an interface using implements keyword. So you say syntax is class, which is the keyword, class name is the name of the class. You say implements. So implements is important, and then you say the interface name. And then you have the normal body of the class. Now, you can have like the class extending from a superclass along with implementing some interfaces. That is also possible. You don't need to implement only interface. You can also inherit from a superclass, and you can also implement from an interface. So let's see an example. So if you look at here, area is an interface. Okay. The area interface has two variables. One is called as, one variable pi, which is 3.14, that's a 14-point value. And there is a method called as compute, which accepts two arguments, x and y, floating values, and returns a floating type. You have two classes. One is called as rectangle, and other is called as circle. The rectangle have an area, circle also has an area. So you can implement the compute functionality in rectangle and circle. Means you are actually going to implement the computation of area in both rectangle and circle. So what you do is you say you implements area for both rectangle and circle. And once you implement the interface, whatever be the function which is declared in the interface should be defined inside that class. Okay, I'll say it again. If your if your class is implementing any interface, which in this case it is area, then that class should define the function which is declared in the interface. So in this case, the area has declared interface called as compute. Okay. So the class rectangle implementing from area should define that exact function inside that class. Since circle also is implementing area, that class should also define the same function inside that class. But you see in class rectangle, the compute function calculates the area of the rectangle, which is multiplication of x and y. But in class circle, it computes the area of circle, which is pi r square or pi x square. But you see the pi is actually from the interface. You haven't declared pi inside the class. Okay. So you see that you have implemented the class, implemented the function compute inside the class. And the method compute has same declaration as in interface, but the body is different in both classes. So the declaration is the first line of that function, that is called as a declaration. So a declaration is same in both classes, but the body, which is inside the curly braces, is different. Now let's see how we can access this. So you are declaring an object for the classes rectangle and circle. One is called as rect, another is called as circ. And just like you are creating an object for rectangle and circle, you create an object for the interface area. Okay, so here you have created an object for the interface area with a small letter a. Then you say the object of the interface is equal to the object of the class. So now the interface is actually referring to the class rect. So when you call area dot compute with the parameters, it is going to call the method of the rectangle class, because in the previous step you have referred or you have assigned the object of the rectangle to the interface area. So when you call area, which is actually the object of the interface, dot compute, it can either call the compute of the circle or the compute of the rectangle. But since you have assigned it as rectangle, in this step, it will call the compute of the rectangle. Okay. In the next step, I am assigning the interface area to the object of circle, which is CIR. And when I call area.compute, instead of calling rectangle compute, the function compute inside rectangle class, it will call the function compute inside the circle class. Okay. So you see that by just assigning a different object, you can make use of the interface object to call different methods of different classes. Okay, so this is how you can use an interface by defining the same method as an interface, by assigning different objects to the object of the interface. You can access any of the functions. Okay, this is regarding interface. So this is a very small topic, but interface is a very widely used Java programming feature. So if you haven't understood any part, let me know. I can explain it to you, or if you have any questions, I can clarify. So this is regarding interface. The concept is very simple, but unless you go through the programs, you will not understand how it is working. Anybody have any doubts on interface? Nobody? Interfaces. Anybody have any doubts? Or if you want me to explain anything, I can do it that also. Okay, fine. So then let's move to the next topic. So in C++, we have when you start writing C++, if you have observed, we always start with the hash include iostream.h, etc. Now you see that hash include iostream is actually something called as a header file. And we are telling the compiler to add or include that header file also while compiling this code, so that what all definitions are there in this code, or what all you have referred, or what all you have put in this code might have some definitions in the header file. Similar to that, in Java, we have something called as a package. Okay, so we are going to see what a package is in Java. Okay, so let me just present it. Okay, now packages are actually, just give me a second. I just yeah. So packages are Java's way of grouping variety of classes or interfaces together. You see, when you write a Java code, you will have multiple classes and multiple interfaces, just like we have seen in the last slide, in the last file. So if you want to group everything and say that, okay, this whole classes and this whole interfaces belongs to one package or one packet. So just like when you are packing something, what you do is you will make a small pack where you will have everything of similar things. For example, all your clothes will be in one pack. All your electronic gadgets will be in another pack. So all the similar items are packed together in one, and you can put both these packs in a larger pack. Okay, that's something called as a package. So it acts as a container for classes. Now, why do we need packages? So the package, the main use of packages, the packages can be used or reused by other programs. In packages, classes can be unique compared with classes in other packages. For example, um, two class name in two different packages can have the same name. In, for example, in your class, in EC1 and EC2, if two students have the same name, usually you call as EC1. For example, the name is Rahul. So I say EC1 Rahul, EC2 Rahul. Then you know that they are of two different from the two different classes. But if I just say Rahul, then you don't understand whether it is from the EC1 class or EC2 class. So just like that, the packages can be used to, even if you have the same name or the same class name, you can put that into different packages so that they can be used differently. It provides a way to hide classes, thus preventing other programs or packages from accessing classes. And that's a very important point for security reasons. And it's also provide a way of separating design and code. So packages are of two types. One is called as built-in package, other is user-defined. So built-in is that when the Java, something that comes along with the Java program, and user-defined are something which you are going to define. So the built-in packages are the following: lang, util, IO, AWT, net, and applet. So lang is the normal Java package, which actually you are importing or including in your program without doing anything, like it automatically inputs. Now IO is for input output operations. Util are for like data structures, English dictionary. Applet, you might have seen web applets where you can do animations in your browser. That's for applet. AWT is for GUI, graphical user interface. Net is for networking operations. So these are some of the packages. So how do you put everything inside the package? So what you do is, let's say you have a program where you have class 1, class 2, up to class n. This is your normal Java program. Now you put this program in something called as a sub package, and you put multiple sub packages inside a package, Java package. For example, AWT is a sub package. Inside AWT, you have a class called as color, class called as graphics, class called as image. And AWT, along with other subpackages like IO, lang, etc., will combine to form the Java package. So how will you use the system packages? You have a keyword called as import. So import is a keyword. So if you say import any package name, that package name will be imported to your Java program. For example, Java. Let's say you want to make use of the function sqrt. Basically, you want to find the square root of a number. So what you will do is you say Java, which is the package, lang, which is a sub package, dot math, which is the class inside the sub package. So that you can import the class math, which has a method called as sqrt, which can be accessed for finding the square root of a number. So that's how you can find the square root of a number. So instead, let's say you are not doing any import here. Still, you can use that sqrt by mentioning the complete path when you are accessing sqrt. So you say java.lang.math.sqrt. If you look at the previous program, we haven't used any of java.lang.math inside the program. Instead, we had imported that. Okay. So you see that Java is the main package, lang is the sub package, math is the class, and sqrt is the method inside the class. So there is a hierarchy on how you should call the class or access a method inside the class. First, there should be a main package, there should be a dot, sub package, there should be a dot, math or the class, there should be a dot, and sqrt, there should be. I know the time is 2:10. I request you to give me 5 more minutes so that I think this package is a very small topic, which I will be able to finish. So with your permission, I am extending it to 5 minutes. Okay, fine. So user defined packages. So you can define your own package. For example, when you write a program in Java, the first step, you can say that this belongs to my package. So you can write as package, and you can say that this belongs to my package. So this is the steps on how you can create your own package. Okay, so you create a directory with a package name, for example, my package. You create the class inside the directory with the first statement being the package name. For example, I can write a Java file with the first name saying that package space my package, and save the file in the class name. That's all what you want to do. For example, my file name is myclass.java. You say that package space my package semicolon. So here package is actually a keyword. That is what Java recognizes. So you see that you will be able to you write your program so that this class, my class, will be inside the package called as my package. Okay, so you create the class my class. Now this class belongs to the package my package, and you save the file my class.java in the my package directory. So this file will be in my package. Now, if I want to use this class, my class, from my package, what I want to do is, let's say you have another file called as main method.java. So you import my package.myclass. Okay, and then you can write your own program, and inside it you can access my class. So you see this object is actually an object of my class. Now, how could you access this? Because you have imported the my class from my package. Okay, this is how you can access any class from another file or another package. Okay, so you see that you have created a object of a class in another file. Now you can also add a class to an existing package. For example, let's say P1 is the package. We have already a class called as A. Now, if you want to add another class B to this package, you mention that this is of package P1, then you say public class B and save the file. So this will add class B into the package P1 along with A. Okay. Now there's a feature called a static import. So static import means if you have looked at the main function, there is something called a static keyword, public static. It's a static number. So the static number you don't need to call by its class name. Okay. So there are some advantages and disadvantages for the static number. Now let's look at this. When you want to print something, you usually do system.out.println, but here you see there is only out. So what does it mean is, you can just say import static java.lang.system. Either you can say system or system.star, both are same. Then you can directly access out.println. So you see this is something called as a static import. Okay, where you are actually accessing the static function by doing a static import. So previously we have seen that the static was not there after import. Okay, so using static import, you are able to access the function or the method without directly using the class name. Okay, this is called a static block. Yeah. So I think that's all from my side. Do you have any questions or anything uh, from this? Let me know, like anything to be explained or something like that. Any questions?